Hello and welcome to the 99th dev update, and that's an actual real number this time. Andy let me know earlier today. With me today, we are following the tradition of reaching outside of the ecosystem. We had Rick Cochran, Rick McCracken, thank you. Rick McCracken a couple weeks ago, and today we have Adam Dean from Cardano land as well. How you doing, Adam?
Oh, doing good. Yourself?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
So, Adam, you are the first time I met you was at Cardano CNFT Las Vegas a couple months ago, right?
Yeah.
You were walking around with was it a cowboy hat on? Handing out
Yeah. I
something.
always have the straw cowboy hat, and I'm usually giving out pins or stickers or something as I go around. It might have been Pooh at the time, actually.
It could have been. It could have been. What's your role? What's your role in that gig?
Well, Pooh, and ironically, that is CIP number 99. So perfect on the the episode number there.
Yeah.
I'm the author of the standard that we developed in conjunction with Hosky Token, and Vesper Wallet was our first partner in terms of an integration to create an easy way to onboard new users out at these live events. You know, I can walk up to you, hand you a card. It's got a little QR code on it. You can take that, set up your own wallet in your own leisure, and then just scan it through the wallet, and the wallet knows how to reach our servers and say, hey, this guy gets this code, and then the server, you know, airdrops you whatever tokens. So Hosky NFTs, just raw ADA. So it's pretty interesting. And yeah, I was the author of the specification and the CIP itself.
To let that happen. That we've had actually when a couple of Ergonauts came from that conference, that was one of the things they talked about. That how can we integrate that into Terminus Wallet or something like that? It's a very cool concept if nobody's used it before or seen
Yeah,
it.
because I was actually at the Sigmanauts booth, and they had a little spinny wheel of like you're gonna win, you win something, and I think I won like some slippery poo or
No, you
had
won
a
you won Greasy Sex, buddy. I remember
greasy
that.
sex. That's what
Yeah,
it was.
yeah.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
so yeah, and so you guys were, you know, just getting an address from me and then doing the airdrop later. Pooh just kind of like simplifies that step even more, where you could have just given me a code and I could scan it later. You know, don't have to write down my seed
Yep.
phrase in the middle of a busy show floor and
Yep,
stuff
yep,
like
yep,
that.
yep.
So yeah, we're definitely interested in we're refining and refactoring it a little bit more. I'm getting ready to release a service I call Sassy Poo, which is, you know, the software as a service to let anybody utilize the protocol and technology very quickly and easily. But then, yeah, I would love to see it bridge over into other ecosystems like Ergo. Because it's so easy to, you know, kind of copy and paste amongst this EUTXO alliance from chain to chain.
Mhm.
Really, it's only the how do we get things onto the chain implementation that changes very drastically.
Yeah, no, I think you'll have a lot of interest in that for sure. I'll actually bring it up at the next SIGS meeting because that was something that people were fairly interested in when we left. Because yeah, we're sitting there having people spin the wheel, and they're creating a wallet, and they're screenshotting their seed phrase, and we're like, you know, typically you don't want to do this.
Right? Yeah, this is literally the thing that absolutely everybody will tell you not to do, but we're going to ask you to do it anyway.
Exactly.
Just,
And then, so you also co-founded CNFT Las Vegas, if I'm reading
yeah,
correctly.
yeah. Formerly CNFT Con, now known as NFT XLV. I'm one of the co-founders with my long-term business partner, Marco Guerrero. And yeah, you know, we've just loved having the Ergo community out the last 2 years, you know, with Zengate and
Mm-hmm.
Palmyra and some of the things that Daniel Friedman's working on over there. We had Joe and I on a panel talking about hackathons and everything this past year in Vegas. So it's been really great to create an event that's not your typical crypto event. That's really designed to maximize community participation and foster that sense of community amongst the attendees. and I think we've done a good job of it. Everybody has largely been happy and satisfied. And yeah, we're going to be coming back for 2024. I think tickets will actually be going on sale this in a few days. So.
No, we had a lot of fun, and I wouldn't say I was nervous being, coming in as Ergo being there. Maybe I was a little nervous setting up and putting my big Ergo banners all around that floor. But you guys definitely made us feel at home, made us feel welcome, and it was nice seeing community members. It was nice seeing community members there. Usually, we see them in chats here in the Ergo side, but a lot of times I'm talking to devs and we're talking about dev stuff. And have people come in that maybe heard about Ergo, but had a positive outlook on it, right? Probably from what Charles says about it, was really fun and really gave us kind of, took that nervousness away right off the bat. But we're definitely going to go, well, it's a vote for the SIGs, but I'm going to definitely put in a vote for the Sigmanauts that we spend some funds on that again, because I feel like we did some pretty darn good outreach. And maybe by then we'll have your stinky poo framework. Not
Right,
stinky poo, sassy
greasy
poo.
poo, sassy poo, stinky poo. We'll come up with a good. We all love a good acronyms, and just in case anybody's not familiar, poo is proof of onboarding. So obviously we were working with Hosky token, the #1 poo coin on Cardano. So yeah, we had to incorporate poo into the acronym somehow. So
No, you guys are good. All right, so let's do something. So typically when I spoke with Rick, I spoke about things that Ergo could offer Cardano by coming over. But I want to switch it up a little bit. I want to ask you, if I'm an Ergonaut and I'm jumping the Rosen Bridge over to Cardano, what are some cool things immediately that you would say, you got to do this, you got to do that, or you can't find this anywhere else, or that kind of thing?
well, I mean, I don't want to just talk out of school and say you can't find these things anywhere
Yeah,
else
but
because
Cardano,
I
they're
haven't
unique
been
on each chain.
everywhere. But
Yeah.
you know, something that's really exciting for me recently is the kind of liquidity markets that we're seeing on Cardano via Levy Finance and Fluid tokens, where you can essentially kind of like rent out your NFTs or loan your NFT or your fungible tokens for people that need short-term liquidity. So there's a really interesting kind of opportunity in that regard. That's one of like kind of the more interesting things is, because a lot of times, especially if you're heavily invested into NFTs like I am, you have a bunch of
Don't tell my
JPEG
wife.
pictures, but you don't have a lot of
Yeah.
access to the core underlying base currency.
The worth, yeah,
And
the
yeah,
value.
and so, but sometimes you don't necessarily want to get rid of the thing. You just kind of want to access its value briefly to maybe go and invest in your new favorite meme coin that's getting ready to launch. And so I really like those liquidity protocols because they present an interesting spin on kind of the traditional you have to sell the NFT marketplace sort of thing.
So it takes the floor price of the collection, or the actual,
Yeah.
how does he get a value out of that? Just the floor price?
Yeah, so with Levy Finance, at least, it's using the collection floor price, and so anybody can put up a loan and say, "I'm willing to give you 800 ADA for any one of these NFTs from this community or from this collection for up to 14 days or 7 days." And basically your interest rate changes the closer you get to or go over floor price of the collection. So there's
Okay.
like this really interesting dynamic balancing that's happening based on what you're willing to lend in terms of base liquidity. And sometimes you can get some really good pickups that way as well. You can get a more rare piece at around floor price because somebody needed the liquidity and
And then
then
didn't
didn't
pay it
pay
back.
back
Yeah.
their loan. So yeah, it's a
So that
very
opens up a
interesting
whole
dynamic.
nother NFT market there where you can acquire them for. Interesting. And this is
Yeah.
all held in smart contracts. Nothing's really, nothing's on the server. It like takes the NFT, throws it in a smart
Mhm.
contract along
Yeah,
with
it's
the.
all smart contract based, written in Aiken by one of our kind of uh, fancy devs that not a lot of people know about. He goes by the avatar Nick on Twitter. He works for the Ape Society, who's the NFT project that created Levy. But he's a major Aiken proponent and really kind of leading the charge in terms of actually not only going, hey, that's a cool tech thing, but actually making real world products with that tech. So it's pretty cool to watch.
Nice. When you said his name was Nick, super simple name for great things, it made me think, are you a Monty Python fan?
Oh yeah.
Where the wizard's blowing up mountains and they're like, oh, great wizard, what is thy name? And he's like, Tim.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Just
Tim.
it's got to be something Gandalfy. No,
Yes.
Bob, Tim, Nick.
So that's pretty cool. So you mentioned 2 lending protocols. Both of them allow NFT lending, or?
Yeah, so the other one is called Fluid Tokens, and I haven't had a lot of like firsthand experience with this, but with Fluid Tokens, you're actually renting, so there's actually like a price per day. So if I only need to own one Claymates for one day because there's a snapshot coming up, I can actually rent it from you for like 6 ADA, have one in my wallet, get the snapshot, and then you get 6 ADA. And they do it again all smart contract based using hybrid composed addresses where the payment key side of things that can actually transfer the asset stays in the smart contract. It just gets attached to your stake key. So for all intents and purposes, it looks like it's in your wallet, for when people are doing snapshots. So it's a very interesting and dynamic model. And yeah, it gives you, again, you don't have to go out necessarily and buy something, a very big, large priced NFT if you're only trying to get short-term benefits out of it.
Crazy people like ourselves who have 7 or 10 or 20 or 50.
Right. Yeah. I'm not
them.
going to use 10 of them. Yeah. So I can make a little money again while not necessarily risking my asset. I can gain access to a little bit of liquidity and put them to work in a more passive sense. Even if the project itself has moved on. So it's pretty interesting.
That is pretty neat. All right, keep going. Give me more. I want to hear this.
Yeah,
What
I don't
else
know.
you got that's cool?
I don't know in terms of dApps. We have some of the other bigger fancy dexes that people have been looking forward to.
Well, you got Spectrum, right?
Yeah, Spectrum's coming, which is very cool. But we also have Axo and Genius Yields that have recently started coming online, who have the more kind of traditional programmable swapping and all these crazy weird strategy things that I don't do at all. I don't trade. Every time I think it's a good time to buy is a good time to sell, and
It's
vice
exact
versa.
same thing. If I'm feeling like I should buy, then I should sell. Exactly.
Right,
I just
exactly.
reverse
So,
whatever I'm thinking.
yeah, so I'm my own inverse Kramer
Yeah,
index apparently. So, but then you go down a rabbit hole. But if am I thinking that it's a
I
good
know,
time
right?
to buy
Right.
because I actually think it's a good time to sell, and because I'm already inversing myself, and so it's a whole
Twist it right
inception
up.
thing.
Yep.
So I don't do a lot of trading. So I know a lot of other people are very interested about those things. I've been more sticking myself to the CIP process and open sourcing. So I'm actually looking forward to the refinement of Cardano on-chain governance via the Voltaire era, the Conway hard fork, and this kind of constitutional convention that we're going to be hosting sometime throughout the course of this year to figure out as a community, how do we govern ourselves?
Have you looked into Paideia at all?
No, not very much.
So Paideia is on Ergo. I believe they're coming to Cardano as well. But it's fully on-chain DAO governance where everything's bundled up in smart contracts. And Luivatra is doing something fairly unique where the heavy part of all the data, it's hard to store that stuff on chain. So the heavy part of the data is stored off chain and hashed, and then the hashes are stored on chain. So the hashes can be checked at any time and go from there. So it's really neat. They've got the beta up right now where it's just a DAO for a test DAO for Paideia. They're going to make a test DAO for the Sigmanauts as well, so we can do it. And then I think they're going to start with a handful, maybe a half a dozen or a dozen kind of base templates, like if this, then that kind of stuff. So you can dump your treasury in, distribute tokens, and make a vote. And then after the vote, the off-chain bots will execute whatever the hell that vote does, and nobody can stop it. So
very nice.
super cool premise, and a lot of people are waiting for that here on Ergo. So Louis, if you're listening, get your shit done. Come on. One Paideia. So
probably the closest we would have on the Cardano side would be the Summon platform, which is working on specifically a lot of those DAO tooling sort of pieces of the puzzle. I don't know how far they are along, or if we necessarily have the same, because of how the Cardano smart contracts work, where they're really just a smart validator. Exactly how far along they are in terms of spending only based on the results of a vote. But Summon platform, if you want to check out potentially similar feature parity platforms on the Cardano side.
Okay, very cool, very cool. What do you have for anything else that stands out immediately besides lending on Cardano? Any game? You game at all? You got to use your NFTs for. There's got to be some game that utilizes NFTs.
I mean, there's quite a few actually. We've got Kopi. Goombles is one that I'm really excited to see coming along. Kopi is much more of an open world metaverse type of play, so it's a very long-term play. But they have released. They've been at NFT XLV the last 2 years. They have a pretty awesome racing game that you can sit there and use your NFT and race it on all these crazy Unreal 5 tracks with generated terrain and everything. It looks amazing. And then Goombles is a really cool tower defense mobile game. That's
was the first one you mentioned the people right to the left when you walked in?
Right from the main entrance there.
Big fancy stuff.
Cornucopias.
Okay.
We all call them Kopi because that's the ticker of their
They're
fungible, but they're cornucopias is the proper name for them. And then Goombles is another one. Very cool, kind of small studio starting with a tower defense game that's very cool and fun to play. I got to play an alpha demo at NFT XLV, and that should be getting released this year. But they're actually kind of interesting. They're not taking the traditional approach of let's mint a bunch of tokens and do all of these things before the game is coming out. So they have done an NFT drop of some of their characters, but it's not directly tied. There's going to be a freemium mode, so that you're not super limiting. We have this weird mindset of like the max for an NFT set is 10K, but you're going to go and become a successful game project with a max of 10,000 players. Like that. Those are metrics that any major game studio would laugh out of the water. So you definitely need to consider that like NFTs can help in the gaming industry, but you need to consider that when we get this the promised mass adoption that everybody likes to talk about, 10K is going to be a very, very, very small number in terms of the overall audience. So I guess that's where some speculators make their money. But at the same time, you don't want to cut off your nose to spite your face and say you can't use my platform without there's only 10,000 access passes in existence. I can only sell up to 10,000.
So that's a Cardano hard limit with the way that
no. It's just kind of an NFT market overall.
Don't make more than 10 kind of thing.
Yeah, it's because like the CryptoPunks, there was like 10,000 of them, right? And so all NFT projects like. Is it a 10K? You can't go over because what are you doing? You're breaking canon. You can go under, but some have in some ways, but usually they're more utility-based NFTs and stuff. But it is an interesting.
I'm sure they'll get creative. Like they'll do 10K warlocks, 10,000 mages,
right,
10,000
10K of every class,
10,000 white mages, 10,000 blue mages. You know what I mean? If they don't want to break canon, that's really funny.
Yeah.
Oh boy. I try to. I have the what's it called, parental guilt, where I feel if I'm sitting here playing a game, I'm doing something that's too much for my time and it's hard to enjoy. It's just something that happens after a while of being a parent, I think, or maybe just to me. So I try to dive into Ergo has you saw the Blitz booth, I think, right? So Blitz is similar to what you were explaining earlier, where he's pumping in a ton of his own money and building all this stuff before he launches, essentially. And then there's another great game that's out called Cyberverse, if you haven't heard of that. It's kind of 80s theme based, so it's like a pixel based not above view, but kind of above you. You still see the person standing up and walking. And that's got like mini games like bartender, race car driving. It's got mining and crafting, and it's pretty damn cool. There's actually a Kilver will do a live stream of it tomorrow or today after this afternoon. I'm not sure, Saturday or Sunday, whenever he does it. But that's really cool. It's the same kind of thing where you have buy a bunch of NFTs out of game, you bring them in, they're right there in the game kind of thing, and they sit in your wallet. That's what I love about NFTs and gaming, is that you actually, like what Mick says from Blitz, you own the product. So if Blitz goes down or if Cyberverse goes down, it doesn't matter. I still have all the beautiful artwork, all the NFTs that I purchased while I was playing this game that I enjoy. They're not, stuck on some Microsoft server that they're shutting down because it's not making enough money. I actually own these. So then if you make a game, Adam, and you want to pay homage to like the old Gumbies or whatever the game you were saying was, Goombas, you can say, okay, if you bring in a Goombas card, we're going to recognize that in game, and you get this kind of bonus. So
especially if they're just cosmetic, homages or something. They don't have to be a silver bullet, but I could still acknowledge our legacy and where we came from, even into the future. That is great.
Exactly. Like the only primetime game that I've seen do that is Skylanders. You could take a Gen 1 Skylander and just dump it on the 10th version of their game 10 years later, and boom, it'd be like, oh, here's Spyro, or here's a dragon, here we go. And it'd be like, holy cow, all these things that I've collected for the past 10 years, even though I've purchased new games and they've made me buy a new portal for it, I can still put it on the portal and use it. So it's that kind of mindset, I think, is the winning mindset there that at least NFT gameplay brings to that kind of thing.
Let me have a badge on my character that's a Goombal, or let me have a poster
or a little pet,
in my wall that's
or
a pet or something. Nothing fancy, and hopefully low impact for the developers, easy to implement. But let me do it. Why not? So
it's an easy way to bring on that a foot up and bringing that group of people onto your new game anyway. So.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we've been talking for 22 minutes. That's probably a good amount of time before we dive into this really short dev update after this. Anything else you want to mention about you said earlier you're looking to run a watcher. You're not quite running a watcher yet at this point.
Yeah, well, part of the problem, honestly, is I was late to the party buying Rosen. Running a watcher all of a sudden became kind of expensive. So, that classic Adam buy sell trader paralysis that happened to me. So, right now I'm a little bit priced out by itself.
Well, maybe if you're going to buy, maybe that's a good time for me to sell. If that's a good indicator.
I'll make sure So
you tell me.
We definitely have some insider trading going on or something. But not only just the kind of steep upfront cost that it costs right now to get into the watcher, but I know I'm actually looking at potentially bringing people like Drip Drops in as a guard on the
right. You're a co-founder of Drip Drops. I forgot to mention that. Right. When did you start that?
Drip Drops started in.
Is that you and Mark as well again?
No, Drip Drops was myself, Rick, Kyle Solomon, Andrew Westberg.
Wait, Rick McCracken too?
He was originally a co-founder. Yeah, he since retired to go and run his watcher and do his thing. He actually wanted to get more involved in kind of trying to reach out about regulation on the lawmaker side of things, and thought him being on a board would paint an unfair target potentially on that board if he's going and talking to regulators and things like that. So he left with all the goodwill and wishes of both sides, and obviously still a good friend for me personally. But so he was a co-founder of Drip Drops as well. Kyle Solomon, Andrew Westberg, some of the other kind of big known names in the ecosystem.
Have you guys ever thought of now I know I know it's kind of silly to think of a pickup platform on Ergo, considering our it's like 0.001 erg to airdrop a billion tokens to somebody, but still the advantage I see of these pickup systems that you have like drip drops or tosi drop is that if I'm going to airdrop to people holding something, I want to airdrop to people who are actually going to utilize it and want to use it. So instead of just blanketly dumping tokens everywhere into wallets that will be picked up by storage rent probably in 4 years,
Mhm.
I want people to come and collect it if that's what they actually want. So I see a benefit still in Ergo for that kind of thing, and I don't think it'd be that challenging. I've talked to Tosi Drop about it before, but I don't think they're gonna continue to brand. Who knows what they're gonna do? I don't want to speak for them,
Right.
but I think it'd be still be beneficial to come and have a collection platform for that kind of thing. We have something called the Ergo Faucet,
Mhm.
which is it's more of a if you anybody can come. You know what a faucet is.
Yeah.
Mansplaining a faucet to you.
No, please tell me more.
um so yeah, that's a faucet, so I think it'd be very beneficial. So I'm just putting that out there, that if you guys want to dip your toes in the ergo waters, I think that'd be an interesting thing to do for that kind of thing, like token launches could have some sort of event where people buy NFTs as part of the token launch. And after they carry these NFTs in the wallet, they can then go to your pickup platform, verify they have that NFT, and collect some of the base
Mhm.
tokens after the launch, kind of thing. So there's a lot of different use cases, I think, for that in Ergo, even though people can just airdrop.
Yeah, maintaining control of your token supply is
Yeah.
probably the biggest one. Like you said, you don't want uh, even where you can, because the platform parameters make it relatively cheap to dust wallets with just tons of tokens. Um, yeah, you want to actually have a successful token. You need somebody that's going to go and transact with it. Having it sit in a wallet and be inert doesn't really do you a lot of good, especially if that's a governance token and you need those people to come and vote,
Hmm.
or it's a Chuck E. Cheese token and they need to come and redeem it to interact with your platform. Sending it to the abyss, like, what did you actually accomplish? So the nice part about platforms like Drip Drops is you don't necessarily lose custody of your coins. You can get them back after the campaign is over, and then reuse them. Or the tech changes, the
That's a
alpha
good point. Yep.
changes, because you can't claw them back from these remote UTXO once you airdrop them. So that's why I think platforms like Drip Drops and Tossy Drop um, really do have a leg up, not just from a cost perspective, but actually knowing that the people that have your tokens have it because they're interested,
Exactly.
because
So
they
now
want
instead
to.
of saying I've put out 1 million tokens and only 100,000 have voted, you can say 120,000 tokens were collected and
Right.
100,000 were returned. So we have a 90% vote ratio of the people who care about voting, which I think is a really good metric, to have, as opposed to just dumping on, everybody with an airdrop. So
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
you should
And
think
it
about that.
actually kind of
I'll remind you in a couple weeks or a month.
it ties into another one of my projects for the year, which is Cardano FUDs. Um,
Fugs or fuds?
FUDs, FUDS.
Okay.
And that's the fungible update disclosure system. Because you guys might know, on Ergo, we have this minor problem with places called CoinMarketCap.
No, you don't say.
Yeah. So basically, I'm writing a new standard where fungible token projects can publish on chain, a metadata payload that can be verified that says, "Hey, here's our this wallet, here's our that wallet," and then anybody can index the chain and go, "Oh, yeah, so the actual circulating supply is Y." Right? There
Oh,
might be
okay.
X. So here's fully diluted. Here's what's locked up on the team's marketing budget wallet and things like that. So the other benefit, again, if you blast out 100 million tokens to a bunch of wallets that are never going to interact with it, technically that is circulating supply. Whereas keeping your tokens on a drip drops or a toasty drop type of bucket system, you can flag that to a platform and say that's actually locked for airdrops. Therefore, take it out of circulation until it leaves that wallet. So that's the other interesting thing when we're actually talking about circulating versus total diluted value cap
Such a hard
of
number to figure out. Yep. Yep.
So another reason, yet another reason to maybe consider not just doing the airdrop,
Yeah,
regardless of how easy it is. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna set a reminder for a month to ask you how far Drip Drops has gotten with integrating into Ergo.
All right, fair enough.
All right, let's jump into the dev update. Let me
All right.
switch my interface over here. You can still read this?
Yep, we're good to go.
All right, perfect. I'll start off with Kushti. Kushti Ergo Protocol Research and Development. Second PR to remove unused code from Sigma. He's been removing some unused code. Good for Kushti. He reviewed pull 2081. I didn't look at that. Worked on subblock EIP draft. Ready to discuss proposal details at this point. Have you heard much about? Are you following that subblocks? Have you heard whispers over on the Cardano side about subblocks?
I want to say I heard something about it, but I haven't had a chance to read the EIP yet.
Nice. Okay. So subblocks essentially is a sidechainish design where without tweaking the security in the current protocol of layer 1, they're going to kind of roll these subblocks up into the main blocks. So you'll have a bunch of subblocks inside a main block, and that I think that's going to be very helpful for like P2P transactions and DApps or DApps that want to actually take that risk of a lesser finality. But I'm hesitant to believe that any like CEXs or DEXs are going to let you necessarily trade without the with a little bit of a lesser finality there, but we'll see. It'll be interesting. Things like gaming and, as I said, P2P are going to be awesome with that, real super fast. I think what's it called? Nautilus Wallet was also working on. They allow you to chain an incoming transaction. So if you just sent me, so this is without subblock. So if you just sent me 100 ergs and it hasn't confirmed in a block yet, I believe what they're working on is I can then still send that out to somebody else, and that can be essentially changed. So as long as it successfully confirms to me along the chain, you know what a chain is. So that's a pretty neat thing that they're working on.
Very cool.
Yeah. Checking possibility to pass Ergo tree version to serializers in Sigma. ChainCash, he's working on some issues with ChainCash. Super cool. I recommend, if you have time, check out his ChainCash papers. He's got a video coming up for the summit on the 15th. Super cool.
Great.
Speaking of meme projects, this one's all you, koutelier.
All right, yeah, koutelier.
I never say it correctly either. It doesn't matter.
Well, I'm actually doing Duolingo to learn French, so that looks like a Frenchish
name. I think he's Greek? Maybe it is, but I think he's Greek.
Okay. Yeah. So now when I see like the IER sort of thing, I want to say A.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we got a COMET update. Apparently, there is a FlyingPig airdrop bot. Our very own advisor, FlyingPig, crafted a magical airdrop tool, and it's raining COMET. Every brave soul who dares bridge ADA to Ergo gets showered with 1,000 COMET.
Those poor bastards.
Umbrellas won't help you here, folks. Those are comets raining down. They're going to punch right through. So MG Pi's ICO draining bot. So missed the ICO arbitrage extravaganza. MG Pi helped COMET drain all refundable ICO smart contracts from COMET. Is this the calm before the storm? When refundable ICO? Interesting. Now we got an Ergo paper hands bot. So it's a bot extravaganza. It looks like the what if machine for all the degens out there. I've conjured up the Ergo paper hands bot. It's like a crystal ball showing
with the help of ChatGPT, he says.
Okay, the fortune you could have had if you hadn't sold your precious tokens. Current tokens covered are Comet, Rosen, ErgoPad, Paideia, SPF, Pepperg, GCX, Clown, and Ergo.
GCX is Greasy Sex.
Oh, Greasy Sex. All right, so I can go and see. Oh, I haven't paper handed mine. I'm still hodling. So
perfect.
Yeah, I'll be good to go. And then the Comet Cardano Watcher. Comet now has its eyes on Cardano with 5 permits and a treasure chest of 70 Rosen collected. NFT holders prepare for an airdrop fiesta. Check out the glimmering collectibles at nft.thecomettoken.com.
Yeah, so he crowdsourced, through the COMET selling of NFTs, I believe, and then purchased Watcher and a token, and then the permits. I think he's got, what do you say, 5 permits, and he's going to drop those. Share in the 70 Rosen, essentially, that they're going to get from that. Similar to what you're probably. Are you going to share the drip drops watcher? We'll go back to drip drops most likely.
Yeah, most likely. We already have what we call like our droperators network, which is a network of people that help run relays for us to get our transactions out and spread across the mempool. So yeah, usually we give delegators to those stake pools higher than average rewards as an incentive to delegate to those particular stake pools that are helping us out, sort of thing. So most likely, if drip drops, a big if, were to set up a watcher or a guard, we would then recirculate and make those Rosen tokens available, sort of thing, to by some criteria.
You have to take them across the bridge,
right? Yeah, and then
you get paid
on
in
both
Ergo
sides
Rosen.
potentially. Yeah, but yeah, maybe we bring them across the bridge and do RS.
Or you
is it
just
RS Rosen when it's bridged?
I think so. I think so. I think it is. Or you can just make them available on Drip and Drops Ergo edition that you're going to build for
Exactly.
us.
Yeah, there we go. So we have options, and it's always good to have options. Yeah, more exciting is being able to get Comet onto drip drops on the Cardano side.
Right.
Once we have RS Comet, and then we can have would it be called if a Cardano asset bridges over to the
Same
Ergo?
thing.
Is it
So
RS? So it'll be
it's
RS Husky on the
Yep.
Ergo side. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, they made that the other day, actually. I think today's Saturday, so I think today you'll see, hopefully you might see Comet and Husky hop on the Rosen Bridge.
Right.
But you should connect with Coultier. Find him on Discord or Telegram. He is interested in making a Comet stake pool over on Cardano, and potentially doing 100% capture of the rewards and distributing Rosen Comet out. So your drip drops would be perfect for distributing the Rosen Comet for the stakers, correct? No?
Yeah, if you haven't, check out Andrew Westberg's Nerd Out series on YouTube, where we just went over the Drip Drops Instant Rewards API, where I actually wrote the shell scripts needed that you can click the button once an epoch, and it will look at all the delegators to your stake pool and give them X amount of tokens based on how much ADA they have delegated to your stake pool. So this could literally be like a 3-click process, and we could have Comet up and running as a stake pool on the Cardano side.
Right now, you wait for waitlists every epoch for people and how many tokens they get, or how do you determine it now for drip drops?
Well, so drip drops, every token that comes in and creates a campaign can choose their own rules, basically. So if you're going to be like a blockchain wide, you could say like, hey, every delegator, they get 1 token per 1,000 ADA in their wallet.
Okay.
And then at the epoch snapshot, that's the same snapshot that's used for block production. That's what we look at in terms of how much ADA did this wallet have, et cetera. And then we can issue out rewards based on that.
And is that five epochs behind? What's the Cardano snapshot like that?
No, so we're actually now in sync. The drip rewards that you're going to get this epoch are for the ADA rewards you also earned this epoch. So it's based.
Oh, wow.
So that's actually based on 2 epochs back is what that snapshot was based on.
Okay.
So 2 epochs ago, we take the snapshot. 1 epoch ago, we made the blocks, and then we calculated the reward. So it's like 2 or 3 epochs back that you're actually receiving rewards for. So there is a bit of a tail emission sort of situation.
Gotcha.
But yeah, we kind of got sidetracked talking about cool things we can do with Comet here. So yeah, we also have some upgrades to website stats. We can now more accurately monitor watcher stats and some things like market cap. Investigating the ADA chain for RS Comet launch.
There you go. Yep.
Yeah. So hasn't reached out to me yet. I'm at the real Adam Dean on
I'll tell him
Discord.
to.
So
I'll hop in chat after this.
The Comet HODL soon TM. Comet HODL is almost here.
Are you familiar with Ergo HODL or HODL coin?
No, I haven't.
So the way HODL coin works is it starts out with a 0, so you can exchange 1-to-1 1 erg for 1 HODL erg. anybody that pulls, you get a 3% charge, and it gets put back into the pot. So
Okay.
the more people that pull, the more that gets put back into the pot. So if you're holding the longest amount of time, you're going to get a massive reward, essentially. So
Okay.
it's whoever can hold the longest. And right now, HODL started maybe at the last Ergo hack, so maybe 5-6 months ago. Right now, we're past 1-to-1 now. So now, if you pull your HODL erg, you'll get more than when you put in if you were an original entry person.
Right.
Because right now it's a little more expensive to do the transition, the swap. So the same thing with Comet. You know, it's a meme coin. They're going to do this Comet HODL, which is going to be fun. Bank fee 10%. Wow, damn. Okay, that's going to be expensive, but that'll be fun to see.
Right.
That
I mean, that's
happen.
just more incentive to hodl longer. So yeah, we'll
Exactly.
see what happens.
Exactly. All right,
And
let's.
yeah,
Oh, sorry. Go for it.
and it looks like Comet is going to keep delivering useless things in 2024, staying loyal to their non-existent roadmap. So get Comet and get wrecked.
Yep. Perfect. All right, we've got Captain Nemo here with a Nautilus team update. Nautilus Wallet fixed a bug that was preventing bridge assets to be used to pay Babel fees. Yes, we found that out. So what'll happen is people came over from Cardano. They took their ADA and made Rosen ADA out of it. And then they're sitting in the wallet and they're like, shit, we can't do anything because we can't pay transaction fees. We can't interact with the DEX without ergs. So I went ahead and made a Babel box with what's it called, with ergs offering to buy Rosen ADA. So if they want to do peer-to-peer transactions or interact with dApps that allow that, then they can. They can just choose Babelbox as a pull down not a pull down. They can choose Rosen ADA as a pull down for the transaction fee in Nautilus and do it that way. I've bugged Spectrum DEX to try to I should bug them again today. To try to integrate transaction fees in Babel fees so that then somebody coming over that did ADA can do that. But we'll see how that goes. So right now we recommend, Adam, that if you're coming over from ADA Cardano to Ergo, to just do a swap of ADA to Rosen Erg on the Cardano side. And then when you come over with Rosen Erg to Ergo, you have full erg. So
Right.
you know, there's nothing you need to worry about as far as that goes. So yeah,
That's actually the thing I'm most excited about. I've just got to save up to where I have enough to cover the Rosen fees, you know, to make it worth it. Those fees are kind of high right now. Let's not kid ourselves, but because I wanted to get some more erg of my own, but I didn't want to go for whatever reason. I don't trust the name KuCoin. You know, and we probably all know why. Like that's just a horrible name for any sort of company. So I didn't ever want to go in KYC, and I think they're the only SEC in the U.S. That's available to U.S. users, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm excited now that I can just get some erg and really start to finally play around at scale. You know,
right.
I can very easily buy my ADA on Kraken, bridge it over, and then get erg very easily. So actually, that's one of the great things about Rosen is it's introduced a very much easier path to liquidity that didn't exist for erg, you know, even 6 months ago. So it's very interesting.
Right. Can't wait till it branches out even more. It's, you know, where it's on 4 or 5 chains. And at that point, it's like you can go anywhere as long as there's something available to you on like Coinbase that you can buy that is somewhere connected to Rosen. Doesn't, you know, go
Yep,
anywhere. So
exactly.
it's super, super cool. Let's see. ErgSnap MetaMask integration doing the final touches before release the first beta, hopefully this weekend. Captain Nemo, if you're listening, we need that video for ErgoSummit. I'm calling you out, Captain Nemo. You promised. Get it out there. Let's do it. All right, you're up with Luivatra.
All right, yeah, looks like we have a Paideia beta announcement. DAO creation progress. Mint of the DAO key is done. Mint of proposal tokens is done. Mint of action tokens is done. Mint of state NFTs is done, and creation of the DAO itself failed. So looks like one more thing to go before that's going to be locked and loaded and ready to go. And then we got 2 config fields which are not used but referenced by contracts were missing. The only way to add these is adjusting the contract again. So one more proposal is needed to get the final piece of the puzzle in order. So, yep, classic case. The devs forgot a config and and everybody got wrecked.
It's,
So
it's
luckily,
pretty
it's still a
complex.
beta, and we're gonna get there. So good,
Yeah.
good game, Paideia, and then looking forward to seeing how we either bridge that or we let somebody, now that we have Rosen, just kind of have their
Yeah,
do all
that's
their DAO
interesting.
stuff on the Ergo side while still having their NFTs or their native assets on the Cardano side. There's a lot of interesting potential there.
Yeah, I don't know how he's gonna, because from what I remember in the past, this was always going to be a Cardano Ergo launch at some point. But now with Rosen, is there really a need to completely rebuild it out on Cardano side?
Right. Why repeat the scripts versus
Yeah,
just bridge and do some of the behavior over here? So
and I'm sure Luivatra is going to DM me in 2 days and say, "Dumbass, this is just this or this," and we've always said that.
right.
Don't be stupid. Yeah.
You're giving out, or you're giving out the alpha before he can. So
There you
either
go.
way,
All right, let's see. What else do we have? We have Flying Pig. Flying Pig for Ergo Node Explorer. Added user-friendly address transaction page. Instead of showing the input-output like other explorers, this shows each transaction in a simplified, newbie-friendly way. View with what you spent and what you received, nothing else unless you click the details button for the full input-output details. Added rich list on that as well. Several optimizations to speed up fetching data. You can try it there. And you know what? Let's switch to that. Where are we? Full screen share. Let's switch to that right here. You can't see it, but everybody else can. So the view that I'm showing people right now is I've searched for an address. This is actually, let's see. And there you go. So the interesting thing about Node Explorer is that, as I was telling you earlier, Adam, is that it just sits, it's a very much simpler interface that's utilizing the database for the node, as opposed to a fully separate Explorer instance tacked on top of that, which requires quite a damn bit of resources, and it's a little bit more complex to set up. So the beauty of this, hopefully, is that anybody can fire this up just like they fire up the node, and now we have multiple different endpoints that people can utilize for that, because we've had issues in the past, admittedly, where there aren't enough Explorer instances going around, so it can kind of get a little chunky at times. But hopefully this will solve it. Let me go back to the main page so you can see that. There's the main page. We can see node info, TXs and mempool difficulty, and rich list over here, and then latest transactions. We can search for TX ID, token ID, box ID. Super simple, super cool. Yeah, looking forward to seeing more of that, actually. Okay, so let's keep going. Token reward dispenser, created to reward users who bridge ADA to Ergo with 1,000 COMET. That's what you read earlier, Adam, with COMET. Monitors a receiving address for specific tokens and rewards anyone who sends said token. Cool. Can also be used to reward users who buy a specific token on Spectrum with additional tokens, or whichever token you feel like rewarding the buyers. Apologies to those who got sent Lambos during the frantic Rosen launch when they bought Rosen. Must have been testing. Yeah, he was testing. I wanted to test the bot in production when loads of transactions were happening. All can be found on his GitHub right there. So yeah, Flying Pig's been doing some really cool things with these airdrop tools. But this is definitely handy. We've been speaking about, I brought up in the guard chat, hey, we should maybe charge a tiny bit of a fee, like, a tenth of an erg or something, and then reward people with it just like they're rewarding COMET. So when they come over, they have some ergs in their wallet, and they're not stuck doing nothing there. But that didn't go very far. Maybe I'll push that again. But yeah.
Well, you always got to watch out for those things, because there's always usually a weird little cyclical thing where somebody can abuse the system. So.
Oh, true. Yeah. Well, that's the idea, would be that we tack the fee on them, so they're paying for it when they come across. So then we do that. Let's see. BlitzTCG.
All right, yeah, the Blitz trading card game. Good friends of us over at NFTXLV. We love Blitz. They've been great. Exciting to see them even getting out to non-traditional, non-Web3 shows and having some good success as well, I think, if I recall correctly. So for us and this development update, I request that after watching this video here, the 2023 end of year updates that you're likely watching right now. So the updates are in video format that can be found on BlitzTCG's YouTube.
Yep, or just hop in the dev channel, click on it right there. Nice. Let's see, I think we have one more ErgOne update. Allow code refactoring for better security and efficiency and make the next development simpler. Actually improved my React Node skills a lot during the past few months. And we need to modify many things before implementing the next features in a few weeks. Voting power calculation and rewards were correctly calculated. TX rewards built and sent perfectly despite the year change. Promising for the future. Ergo, do you have anything like Ergo? ErgOne is essentially a social rewards program. So you register your Twitter address, connect it, I think, with maybe your Discord as well and your wallet address. And you hop onto Twitter, X, I guess I should say X, and do a bunch of.
It'll always be Twitter to me.
I know, goodness. So. And you'll do certain hashtags for Ergo, and ErgOne scans Twitter and rewards you based on the amount of likes and retweets that your post gets or your posts themselves. And it has a leaderboard, and at the end of the month, it will pay you out in ErgOne tokens that you can then collect or cash in on the DEX or anything like that. Is there anything at Cardano that does that kind of thing?
I believe so. I haven't used it yet, but the Mallard Order has recently released their Raiders Guild, which I believe does
the Mallard Order. That sounds sounds intense.
Yeah,
like they're a mallard, like a duck.
Yeah. So they're all duck PFPs.
That's awesome.
But they've got a great founder who's very active in the community, Demosthenes. Nemesis, one of their core artists, is very active in the community. They were both out. They had a booth at NFTXLV as well. They have hosted like an actual. They got some of their mallards framed and did a whole pop-up gallery in New York City for NFT NYC last year. So they're a very cool project, and I haven't used it. I don't get too much into the Discords and the social things, but I think that's what they're doing with their Raiders Guild on the Cardano side. And they've been recently announcing some partnerships. I believe the Ape Society and a few other people are joining in and participating as well in the Raiders Guild.
That is pretty damn cool. Nice. You had a gallery at CNFT LV, right?
Yeah, NFT XLV. NFT. So we had I have it the gallery at NFT XLV. It's going to be back again, bigger, better. Hopefully we had quite a few artists. I want to say we had 50 to 100 artists that actually applied and had their art submitted, and I want to go bigger and better this year. So I'm actually working on some of the tooling I need to support that, so that we can properly advertise and promote these artists and get the word out there a little bit earlier this time.
Very cool. Well, I think that does it for the for all the updates in Discord, at least. Adam, thanks so much for joining me. I've learned a lot, actually. This is great. This is what crypto should be, not fighting each other, but learning from each other's chains. And now with Rosen, we can partake in each other's chain without even blinking, So I think that's super cool.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. It's been great. But it's Saturday. So I don't know if you were aware, but I am the CEO of Cardano on Saturdays.
I saw your tweet.
I got to get back to that as well. But yeah, thanks for having me. And it's great. And I'm definitely looking forward to building more of these bridges across the community. It's what it should be all about.
And don't forget drip drops on Ergo.
Right, drip drops on Ergo. Drip drops guard, drip drops. I think we got it locked in on people's head now.
Perfect. All right, thanks, Adam. I'll see you later.